I had a question from Jay about reel maintenance and when do I change my braided line. So on a spinning cast, I don't completely break them down. You would have to take all these screws out and really get into the gears in here to really break it down and clean them good. This one's still working pretty good and it hasn't ever been oiled or anything. As long as they're working good, then I don't do anything to them. My reels, they sit in the truck. I'm very, very hard on my stuff. So when the reel starts to, kind of catch whenever you cast it out, and whenever you first start to reel, it'll catch, and then it'll start reeling, and you feel that catch. That's when it's time to oil it. And the only thing that I do, and it seems to work most of the time, you take off the little cap right there, which is where the handle goes in. If you need some needle nose, you can take that cap off with a needle nose. This is the easiest way to maintain it without, fully breaking it down. Right inside of there is a bearing, and so I will put, a few drops of a few drops of oil in there, and I actually go a little bit heavy on the oil because I don't want to go down into the gears, and I think that if you put just a little bit heavy on the oil, that it'll drop down into those gears and you don't have to fully open it. But you also don't want to do this every single week and have your reel just soaking with oil, so I only do it once every couple of months, and it keeps them going for quite a while. We running over them. Ain't nothing I can do about it. This fish, dude, man, I'm talking about fish freaking everywhere. Look at this. Shit. Jeez, man. So that's a bearing on that side, and then you take your reel handle and you unscrew it. Some of them unscrew and some of them just slide out. This one unscrews, and then you have another bearing on that side. And I do the same thing. I drop it, I say a few, I probably do about 6 drops of oil in there, and then I just hold it and I'll let that oil kind of seep in there, and then put the handle back on and hold your spool and just snug your handle, and then put your cap back on the other side. And then one of my pet peeves is the bearings that are inside of here. If this bearing is kind of stiff, like this one, it's spinning okay, but it needs some oil. It depends. Some of them have a screw, some of them have a little cap right there, and you'll have to pop that cap off with a like a flathead screwdriver, a real small screwdriver. And then there's another screw, usually it's a Phillips, on the inside, and you remove this, and there's 2 bearings inside of there that you'll you go ahead and take those bearings out. And I clean everything pretty good right there, and then I oil those bearings. The other thing you can do is remove your spool. You just unscrew your drag all the way. This usually keeps my reels going for quite a while, as long as they're not dunked. Now, if you dunk your reel in salt water, it's probably gonna have to be completely taken apart. That stuff is real bad on reels. So I take the spool off and I spin it until that shaft is all the way up. You notice the shaft goes up and down. When it's all the way up, and right in here where the shaft goes down inside, I drop a few drops of oil in there, and then I wipe it clean, and then I put a little grease on the shaft. take this top part off, and you can clean, you see the grease that's on there? You can clean this grease off and clean the grease off right there, and you'll put some new, some new grease on there. Not much, just a real light coating. So if your drag is catching and whatnot, you might need to grease that. And then put it back together. That's all that I do. Like I said, if you dunked it, you know, that's you might have to fully take it apart and clean everything and grease and oil all the way to the inside. When it comes to a bait caster, a lot more things going on with a bait caster, and they are a lot more finicky with salt water, even if you don't dunk them. When you're reeling it in, that salt water from, you know, comes up on the line, and it's basically splashing your reel with salt water the whole time you're using it. The most important thing to do is to oil right in there. You see where that goes back, back and forth. Just put a few drops of oil right in there, and then open your side plate. There's a little tab that will open them, and you just pop the tab open and your side plate comes off. Some of them pivot like this, it doesn't actually come off, and some of them will just pop all the way off. The thing that will help you the most with good cast on a bait caster, you see this copper colored brake in here, is to keep that brake oiled every couple of trips. Well, if you fish and then you don't fish for a while, then you'll do this after every trip. But for me, since I use my reels like 5-6 days a week, everything stays working good because I'm constantly using them, and I don't give them a chance to really lock up. But if it sits in your garage for, you know, a week or 2 weeks or however long, then things can lock up from that salt water. So there's also a bearing right inside of there. You put a little oil on that bearing and oil on the outside of that copper colored brake. And if you keep your brake oiled, it will make your cast a lot smoother and consistent. They were going that direction. Damn, we just run over a big redfish. That was fast. Second cast of the morning. It's a good fish. I'll also pull the spool out whenever I'm fully, you know, oiling it and everything. And a lot of times they have a bearing right in here, but this one doesn't. I just put a few drops of oil on that, and then I drop right in there. I drop a few drops of oil down on the inside of the reel, and that's pretty much it, you know, for my bait casters. And the bait, you know, the bait casters don't handle salt water as well. This one's actually doing pretty good. Which one is this? This is the Corrado. All of your coastal inshores and custom inshores and anything that claims to be rated for salt water, they really ain't, man. I've had $100 bait casters, and I've had several $300 bait casters that claim to be good for the salt water. That salt water is hard on everything. So my favorite bait caster is a Lew's Hypermag with a 8-to-1 gear ratio, and I've owned about 6 of them. I replace them about every 8 months. So they're lasting me about eight months to, if I'm lucky, a year. But that's, once again, that's because I don't maintain things as much as I should. Here's a big one. Let's open her up. How often do I change my braid? The braid seems to last forever. I mean forever. So I don't change it unless I got a wind knot or something and I ended up losing a lot of my line. That I change my braid is because I'm running out of it on the spool. You can always cast further with a full spool of braid. And if you lose, you know, couple hundred feet of braid, and you're down, you know, on the spool, they don't cast near as far on both kind of reels. And my spinning cast reels, they seem to last me about the same, you know, 8 months on average. So if you spend $75 to $120 on a spinning cast, they're usually pretty good reels on those. The Piscifun have been working pretty good, except for the ones that get dunked by my customers. If they get dunked, they're gonna lock up, and it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters what brand it is, but the Piscifun that I've been using, I have two of them that are on my kayak at all times. They're doing good. I've been using them for 3 or 4 months now, I guess. And I owned one once before, and it's been lasting a long time. It's been a pretty good reel for $70. So. And if you only pay $70 and it only lasts you 6 months, it's not that big of a deal to buy another one. If you take it in to get work done to it, if it needs a bearing, if it needs cleaning, you're talking about a $30, $40 bill, you know, but you still have a used, worn out reel. For another $30, you can buy a brand new one. So that's why I like to spend, you know, $70 to $100 on my spinning cast. Because I use them and abuse them, and you know, 6 or 8 months later, I just buy new ones. You know. I guess we're doing okay with the top water.